Well, Bob Rae is one of the three declared candidates for the leadership of the Liberal Party, and he joins me now from the foyer of the House of Commons. Mr. Rae, nice to see you. I know we've already talked once today, but let me go, because you've had a caucus meeting since. You don't tell me what goes on in caucus. But there is a sense I get from some people anyway, more rather than less, that part of the problem with the coalition was the leader of the coalition, Stéphane Dion, and that really he should be moved off.
Don, I couldn't help hearing some of your questions to Mr. Moore, and you talked about, how did the coalition run out of gas? The Parliament has just been suspended today. I don't know whether you asked Mr. Moore about that, how he justified suspending Parliament, but that's what's happened. There's no change in the coalition. The coalition document was signed. It was negotiated last weekend. It remains in place. We were ready to have a vote. We had a vote on Monday. He canceled the vote on Monday, just like he canceled the fixed date for the election. I mean, this Prime Minister, cancels a lot of things in the name of his own self-interest, and now he's just suspended Parliament. So there's no change in the coalition. The coalition agreement, the agreement between the Liberals and the NDP, to say let's put our partisan differences aside and let's try to create the strongest economic package we can for Canadians, that remains in place. That remains very much there. So from that perspective, that hasn't changed. What's changed today, what's new today, nothing to do with the coalition, and frankly, nothing even to do with the Liberal caucus meeting. What's changed today is that the Prime Minister of Canada has suspended Parliament. He has suspended Parliament so it can't meet. He has suspended Parliament before any vote of confidence could be held in the House of Commons. Well, and he's done a whip around for 6 weeks so that there can't be a vote of confidence in the House of Commons. That you should be having all sorts of experts on talking about how Parliament has been suspended. And I suppose if they take away the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, people will find a way to talk about baseball. I don't know. To me, this is about the suspension of Parliament.
Well, I don't disagree that it is. I've been talking about it all day myself. Mr. Moore said that's what Canadians wanted, and I guess at some point Canadians can be the judge of that. But I suggest to you, Bob Rae, that once something as dramatic as the suspension of Parliament happens, everything else doesn't stay the same. We're not in a vacuum here. Every action has a reaction, and it's a chain reaction, particularly in politics. Right. And Mr. Dion's leadership is one of the things that's being looked at again. And the Green shift, then the coalition. You say it's still standing there, but it's wobbling, Bob Rae. I put it to you.
No, it's not. I mean, I put it to you that it isn't, and I put it to you most emphatically that it isn't. And I was at the caucus meeting today.
And I wasn't. I agree.
Exactly, and I know exactly what was discussed, and I know who discussed it. And I think there's a profound agreement in the Liberal Party caucus that an alternative must be found to Mr. Harper, that alternative has to be found in a minority parliament where we have different parties. And there was a very profound consensus on that point, and there was no difference of opinion on that point. There is a very strong consensus in the Liberal Party on that, as I suspect there is in the New Democratic Party, though I haven't been to their caucus meetings for a number of years, or in the Bloc, where I've never been to a meeting. So, I mean, you can invent stuff, but I can only tell you what I've seen with my own eyes and heard with my own ears.
Well, I hope I'm not inventing it, but I am asking based on my observation, and I've never been to a caucus meeting, but I've observed a lot of them, watched the fallout, and talked to people who will say things privately they won't say on television. And you should talk to some of your colleagues privately, and maybe they'll share their views of Mr. Dion that they're not prepared to do to his face in caucus, because he's not a popular man. In fact, the pressure to get him to leave right after the last election illustrates the level of popularity he really has.
Well, look, I mean, Mr. Dion is leaving, okay? He's agreed to do that. There is a convention coming up. There's a leadership race underway. And somebody asked me today, well, what if the party changes the date of the convention or moves the date around? And my answer to that is it's up to the party. I mean, the party's in charge of its own processes. The party can determine.
Well, would you favor moving it up? Would you favor? You're a prominent member of the party.
I'm a member. I'm a leadership candidate, and I'm not about to say what it is the party exactly should do in terms of the leadership race.
Other than pick you as leader, of course.
The party, in its wisdom, I would love the party to do that. I would love the members of the party and a wider public to do that, and we'll just see what happens.
Okay, Bob Rae. Wish we had more time, but thanks for coming on again now.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you.
And don't go away, because we are coming back again with a lot more politics. In fact, a whole hour of politics coming up. Stay with us here on CBC News World. Politics is coming to a short break, and then politics is coming back.